Something exciting arrived in the mail the other day. A little care package from Rimpact Inserts. A small startup, UK-based insert maker coming into the kind of increasingly popular and growing kind of insert area of the market. Now, if you're on this video, then chances are you know what an insert is. But if you don't, it's usually a piece of foam you stick in your tubeless tyre setup to protect the tyre against pinch flats from basically the rim and the tyre knocking heads and slicing through. They allow you to run lower pressures. They can deal with vibration and trail chatter, and you get ones which are really quite thin, kind of like strips of foam, like the kind of Huck Norris variety, or the ones that I made myself, or the ones that are a bit more substantial, the kind of pool noodle variety, which are kind of a single circular piece of foam, fairly tube-like, with various different profiles and densities of foam. Probably the most notable in this category are things such as the infamous Cushcore, with their almost impossible to get a tyre around kind of feature being like one of their main selling points. Now, I was really interested in Rimpact straight from the off, because not only did it have a really interesting looking profile that I thought would fit really nicely within the tyre and allowing kind of an air cushion almost all the way around, whilst giving a little bit of side impact protection and holding the carcass of the tyre up. It's not that expensive. They're made in the UK, they're handmade, yeah, a set with specialist valves will cost you less than 40 quid. So, sent me an email and they sent me a package. Now, I wasn't looking forward to fitting them because I thought these are going to be an absolute nightmare in the kind of vein of Cushcore. But to be honest, once you've kind of followed the instructions as set out in the leaflet, pretty straightforward. First one took a while to seat. Second one I got done in like maybe 15-minute tops from a fully seated tyre. I will say, wire bead tyres, it was harder to fit, significantly harder. There's a few moments where I felt like I was going to need to get a tyre lever in there, but we managed to get it on, just by kind of massaging and cursing and swearing and sweating, but we got there. With the Kevlar bead popped on, not a problem. So now it's fitted, we're going to play with our air pressures. I'm going to start by dropping maybe 2 psi out of my normal setup, so I'm going to be maybe 21 in the back, 20, 19 in the front. We've got a Magic Mary up front, and also testing kind of a slightly cheaper tyre out back, kind of a Vittoria Jafaki, because none of my regular tyres that I run in the rear had much tread left on them, and I didn't feel it was a fair test to put something with already a pre-worn tread. So I've got a new tyre, got used to it, and put it on with that. So time to take it to the trail and see how this handles, and then we'll get back here and I'll share some initial thoughts. A well-known local landmark. I'm going to do a little bit of sessioning on the short, really rocky line to the start of the downhill. So. Bird. Loads of them out. So my immediate initial thoughts are pretty good and pretty positive, to be honest. Any kind of vibration or trail chatter that I'm kind of used to with these tyres and this kind of setup, these bars, all that, it's not there. It's kind of disappeared. So that harsh vibration under braking is definitely minimised. I'm not really noticing any of that little chunder running over the kind of small loose rocks and stuff. After going over it a few times and realising how much more traction I have, I was hitting stuff harder and faster than I would ever normally do, and I was taking deliberately sketchy lines because I knew, well, I just wanted to see what would happen, to be honest, because there's some lines there which you know that's a straighter line, but it runs the risk of slotting you into not a great line.
or it's too harsh an edge, or you're carrying too much speed at that point, and I've hit rims and I've dinged rims. This bit of trail here that initially sent me on the insert path, you know, I'm not the fastest or hardest rider, but if even I'm cracking rims on this 50-second, 40-second section of trail, then there's an insert to do a job there. So, initial thoughts. Let's continue the science. Hello, science sled. Looking so resplendent in the sunshine. B-roll.
Yes, good Sven. Oh, hello, rocks.
So we're back in the shop, we got a good solid ride in there. Did it make a positive impact? Am I going to keep them in a bit longer? The thing that surprised me most, and I didn't expect this at all, was the increased climbing traction. When I think about it now, that makes total sense. You're running lower pressures, you've increased the contact patch with the ground, and you're deforming the tyre to reach around roots and rocks and lips and ledges you'd slip on normally. And the tyre's just got grip for days. So of course it's going to have grip for days going uphill as well as down. But I have to say, the instant improvement in technical slippy climbs. Now that isn't to say that there isn't increased rolling resistance, but we're not rolling on like buffed trails, we're climbing or going down technical descents where that additional traction is what we're looking for, it's what we want. It's there primarily to protect your rim, but because of that drop in pressure, we're getting that additional traction, which is amazing. And I have to say, it was really noticeable instantly on the climbs. So we get to the top and then we start descending. We start doing what we're there to do. So on the downs, how did it do? I have to say, once I knew that traction was there and you knew your tyres would grip in a way that they wouldn't do normally, or those rocks that normally you're always pulling back on because that's the last time you cracked a rim, and it wasn't happening and you weren't feeling that shallow thud and sound that's just expensive, then you start letting go of the anchors a bit more. You start trying to lift off stuff that you weren't doing previously. You carry a bit more speed because the confidence is there. And that's the biggest thing for me. Whenever I have confidence in my setup and I know what's going on and there's no like, oh, what's that creak? Oh, what's that doing? And I know the bike's going to handle it and I can predict how it's going to act, that's when I ride my best. That's when I'm fast. That's when I'm not being distracted by anything else. I'm just flowing with the bike. And the confidence that the Rimpacts engendered really quickly was really evident by the time I'd sessioned, you know, that short section maybe 2-3 times. I was just like, yep, these are working, they're doing their job. As I said, in the trail section, I did notice a reduction in vibration. As I went on onto the more kind of like ridged route style trail of log ride, then it became a little bit less noticeable, but it was definitely there. If you want to test your low speed compression, there's a trail to go try out. Did I notice it on the flats? Yes, that's where the additional rolling resistance really kicks in of rolling on the flats. And there it feels a bit like you've got a tube with not enough pressure. You've got the additional weight, that kind of, the carcass is deforming in that way, but it's not folding. And you don't feel like you've got much, everything's just a bit of a sloggy drag, like the trail's in like really wet conditions. But once you're climbing technical trails or when you're descending, you don't notice that drag at all. All I felt was traction and all I felt was confidence. But this is just my initial thoughts. So I'm going to keep these in, I'm going to take them out, I'm going to have a look at them whenever I change tyres, and we'll come back to this and we'll give it a long-termer, see how I feel about them, and let us see what pressures I can get to in the end. Because currently I ended up dropping it to about 19, 20 in the front, 21 in the rear, maybe 20. I could probably push that a little bit lower, and I want to kind of see where I get to the point where I can feel that squidge. I also want to see what happens if I just let all the air in and try and trundle around the car park. Let me know down in the comments what you think of Tyre inserts generally and what ones you're running if you are. And if there's anything you'd like to find out about these particular inserts, then also let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this, give us a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.